Hello, good day, and welcome to Lena Media TV editorial. I am Victoria, broadcasting from Canada, and these are the headlines for today's stories. Djibouti shows signs of recovery, but challenges remain. The United States sanctions security forces in Sudan for serious human rights abuses. Sudan welcomed military-based agreement with Russia in the Red Sea. Bringing you this in detail after the short break. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back from that short break. Now news in detail. Djibouti shines signs of recovery, but challenges remain. Constructions and public works are expected to remain the main drivers of Djibouti economic growth. According to the first edition of the World Bank Djibouti Economic Monitor, the Winter 2021 edition is the first in a series of semi-annual reports aimed at analyzing development trends and constraints in Djibouti. Titled Navigating Through the Pandemic and Regional Tensions, the report provides an update on the country's recent economic development and its microeconomic outlet. Djibouti economic activity is estimated to have recovered from COVID-19 in 2021 with a projected growth of 5.1% compared to a decade-low growth rate of 0.5% in 2020. The economic rebound, however, suffered from a fall in demand from Ethiopia for logistics service during the second half of 2021. The report outlined how inflation rose to 2.6% in October 2021, driven by the pass-through of higher international commodity prices and demand side pressures resulting from the recovery public finance are expected to remain under pressure. The overall fiscal deficit increased to 1.6% of GPD in 2021 from 0.5% in 2022. In report estimate that a protracted conflict in Ethiopia poses one of the major risks to Djibouti recovery. While considerable uncertainty remains, the report considers two scenarios for the medium-term outlook. A scenario in which the conflict is resolved peacefully within 6 months, and a navigate scenario that anticipates a prolonged conflict until December 2022. On this basis, it is estimated that Djibouti real GDP growth could, however, between 4.3% and 2.7% in 2022. Finally, the report also analyzed how COVID-19 has negatively affected the labor market and household welfare in Djibouti, hitting the poorest hardest. The analysis is based on high-frequency data produced by the World Bank and the Institute of Statistics of Djibouti, while welfare indicators including food, security, signal path towards recovery. Special attention must be given to the vulnerable and marginalized population to build back better. Moving on to the other story, the United States sanctions security forces in Sudan for serious human rights abuses. The United States is designating Sudan's Central Reserve Police for serious human rights abuses committed during protests calling for democracy. Report of rape, killing, torture, and arbitrary detention, among other abuses committed by the CRP officers as recent as March 14th, are ongoing reports that CRP officers raped and commit other acts of sexual abuse against female protesters, notably on December 21st and 22nd as well. Actions are unacceptable and contrary to the Sudanese people's desire for freedom, peace, and justice in their country. All abuses against protesters by CRP officers must be stopped. The United States maintains our full support for the collaborative effort of the UN Integrated Transition Assistance Mission in Sudan, the African Union, and the Inter-Governmental Authority on Development to facilitate a Sudanese-led political process to restore a civilian-led transition to democracy. In order for this process to be effective, the military and security service need to create an environment where all actors can safely participate in negotiation. Cultural figures and humanitarian workers, closures of media outlets, continued violence against peaceful protests, including sexual violence and attack on medical facilities and communication blackout. Moving on to the last story, Sudan welcomes military-based agreement with Russia in the Red Sea. Deputy Chairman of Sudan Sovereignty Council, General Mohammed Hamdan Dangulu Hamdi, reported that he discussed cooperation with Russian officials on national security and political issues, had a press conference at Khartoum Airport after his 8-day visit to the Russian capital Moscow, said that meetings were held with many officials in Russia and that they discussed all issues between the two countries, especially politics and economic during the visit. And at the meeting were productive. MDT stated that they discussed the issues of economy and cooperation between the two countries with Russia Deputy Minister Alexander Novak, mentioning that he also met with Russian Security Council Secretary Nikolai Hindi said that they discussed the issue of national security in Russia and Sudan, in the effects of experiences sharing joint cooperation, fight against terrorism, and education. Mitti also said the following about the naval base that Russia wants to establish in the city of Port Sudan and in the Red Sea. The issue of the Russian military base is the issue of the Sudanese defense minister. There's a lot of talk about this base. Nothing that he and his delegation also visited Egypt and met with Ethiopian intelligence chief Abbas Kamil. MT stated that the political situation in Sudan has discussed during the meeting and that the Egyptian side called for the crisis in Sudan to be resolved through dialogue. Sudan Sovereignty Council Vice President called on the parties to reach political consensus to overcome difficulties and engage in dialogue in the country. During the visit of former Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir, who was overthrown in 2019 by a military coup, to Moscow in November 27, the two countries signed cooperation agreement on military training, exchange of experience, and the entry of warships into port of the two countries. According to Russia Today, Russian President Vladimir Putin approved the establishment of Russian base in Sudan on November 16, 2020, capable of accommodating ships with nuclear power unit. Sudan Chief of Staff Mohammed Osman al-Sham said in a statement on 19 November 2020, so far there's no full agreement with Russia on the establishment of naval base in the Red Sea. On 9 December 2020, the official Russian newspaper published the text of the agreement between Russia and Sudan on the establishment of a supply and maintenance base for the Russian Navy in the Red Sea to support peace and security in the region. General Mohammed Hamdan Dagulu himself reported that he discussed cooperation with Russian officials on national security and political issues. Himti held a press conference at Khartoum Airport after his 8-day visit to the Russian capital, Moscow. Himti said that meetings were held with many officials in Russia and they discussed all issues between the two countries. According to Russia Today, Russian President Vladimir Putin approved the establishment of a Russian base in Sudan on November 16, 2020. On 9 December 2020, the official Russian newspaper published the text of the agreement between Russia and Sudan on the establishment of supply and maintenance base for the Russian Navy. This is why I end the editorial on Alena Media TV. I am Victoria and thanks for watching.